What's up, guys? It's Torch here with Jolly Roger Airsoft. Today we're going to be talking about combat communications. Now, this is something that I view as very important in Airsoft, and it's something that a lot of people don't really think about until they're right in the middle of the field. So, it's a good thing, just take a few minutes with your team and talk over. Alright? So now we're into the basics of combat communication. Alright, so there are 3 basic points to basic combat communication. Standardizing your communications, having a set radio operator, and keeping your messages clear and concise. So, alright, standardization. The clock system is near universal when it comes to Airsoft and for most of the American military world, but we'll go over that in the next slide. Alright, next point is that you need to identify verbal and nonverbal signals and procedures that everybody in your unit will know to keep things clear. You don't want a couple of people using different symbols or different words for different meanings and throwing off your entire communication network because they don't actually understand what the rest of the unit is saying. It doesn't need to be anything super out there or an entire language. It just needs to be enough basic communications that you can get any of your points across and you can keep your team moving in the field. The clock positioning system is a great example of this. So, whichever direction you're facing is your 12 o'clock. Now let's say an enemy pops up on your right hand side that you could describe as approximately your 2 o'clock. So, when you call it out, it would be Tango at 2 o'clock, for instance. And then everybody in your unit would know that in relation to where you're facing, he's to your 2 o'clock. So everybody is able to tell where the person is in relation to you, as opposed to having to give out like degrees of north, south, east, or west, which makes things a lot more complicated and a lot harder to perform. So, this in effect will help your communications a great deal. Alright, the second point, have a set radio operator. You want one man on the channel for each level of your chain of command. So one radio operator per squad, one radio operator per platoon, etc. Having only one makes it a lot easier for you to communicate as an entire team. So your high command won't have to disseminate orders to all 300 of you. They can disseminate it to 30 of you. We'll spread it out to the 10 who are underneath their radio, so on and so forth. And squad nets are perfectly okay, and we use them all the time. You just don't want them to be used over the team net, because then everybody's hearing what your squad has to say, which won't help anybody else, really. And so you want to keep that within your squad so as not to clutter up everybody else. Number 3, be clear and concise. You don't want to ramble, and you don't want to be vague. You just need to state what needs to be said. So, if there's enemies in front of you, you want to give how many there are, and there may be a grid square or a coordinate, something that will help your high command identify where they are. Don't just yell out, they're right in front of us, and don't get into detail about which one's hiding behind which tree, because to them it doesn't really matter. And make sure you speak clearly into your radios, especially when you're under fire. Because in those situations, it's loud, it's confusing, and you have a tendency to yell and slur your words. And you want to avoid that as much as you can. Because walkie-talkies are not the highest quality, and it's going to be hard for anyone to understand you. And lastly, don't be profane. There can be civilians on radio nets, which is the first major problem, and you can give a very bad perception of Airsoft just by getting up there and cussing as much as you possibly can, even if you think it's going to be funny, and it shows a lot of immaturity. So please try not to do it. And also keep in mind the radio is supposed to be a professional environment where you're trying to communicate information that helps the team. And cussing and being stupid into the radio isn't going to help anybody. So just try to keep that in mind when using radio communications. Alright, I got the clock graphic from Wikipedia, so thank you very much, Wikipedia. You're the man. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Use the hashtag swag when describing us on social media. Thank you very much. This has been Torch. Have a good one.